All right, well, we're going to get started. So welcome back for our second half of this Friday evening. So hopefully you had a chance to eat and network again some more and communicate and eat some more and drink some more and all of that good stuff. So we're going to move on to our second part. We're excited to have our speaker for tonight to be with us. Of course, I've learned since I've been a part of the council, he's a real good person to know. So I'm gonna read a little bit on this bio. So y'all gonna have to bear with me because it's a little dark and I don't have my reading glasses, so to speak. So I'm gonna have to do better. And I want to believe that I don't need reading glasses, but I need them. So I'm gonna attempt. So y'all, if I make a mistake, just say it's kind of dark up there. Dustin is a tireless advocate for the disability community in Alabama. In 2012, Dustin's second child, Carly, was diagnosed with a devastating neurological and seizure disorder called CDKL5. Maybe he can give you a little bit more information about it. In 2014, Dustin started and led a statewide effort in Alabama to legalize the use of high CBD and low THC oil for the treatment of the refractory epilepsy, period. The legislation known as Carly's Law allowed the use of CBD oil in the treatment of qualified children and adults. In 2015, Dustin co-founded Interaction Advisory Group and serves as their president and lead instructor. IAG trains first responders how to interact safely with individuals with autism and or other developmental disabilities. He is a former member of the Special Education Advisory Panel, which is known as SEAP for the state of Alabama. He has also been a realtor since 2002, long time, and is currently with Keller Williams Realty. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce our speaker, Dustin Chandler.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, DP. Daryl Powell. You're tracking. Appreciate the introduction. I am here really to try to talk to you guys. Let me before I get started into my story, figuring out the story of this week. How many graduates of the class do we have? Raise your hand if you're a graduate this go around. So most everybody in the room. What did everybody else do that didn't raise their hand? Nobody's saying anything. So the people that didn't raise your hand, y'all didn't help them out? Oh, emailing. That's good. All right. So everybody, you're a graduate. So I am up here to share my story of advocacy and to really, to be quite honest with you, hopefully at the end that you will actually know there's hope in the advocacy world through my story is what I'm hoping. So please open your mind, open your hearts. And my prayer is that you guys will go on after this and obviously you're going to do wonderful things, right? That's the point. How long do you have to go through this whole thing to graduate? Two classes? Just kidding. I know that. Like 6 or 7 classes. So y'all did this to do what? Why did y'all get into this? To become better advocates. Yes. I mean, I think last graduation class was the first one, correct? In like 15 or 20 years. And now y'all are the second moving forward. So Daryl is right. My name is Dustin Chandler. I've got to find the clicker over here. And really what I like to talk about is mindset. What is mindset? Somebody tell me what you think mindset is. Yeah. And I mean, we always try to have a positive mindset, right? And so I like to think of everything as being your mindset on how you approach anything. But really, while we're sitting in this room, is because you guys just graduated. And what are you guys advocating for? Yeah, change. In what community? Yeah, the disability community really as a whole, right? So that's what you're here for. So I'm just here to share my story, hopefully get you guys fired up to go out there and do wonderful, great things, because that's what you learned for what was it, 9 classes, Maria? 6, 7? All right. That is my family real short. That is, I used to never put a picture of my family in the presentations I did, but I started feeling bad. So that is my wife, Amy. That is my 8-year-old daughter with the longer hair that's red. My oldest son, Colton, and that is me. And there is Carly. And like Daryl said, Carly is the reason why I'm standing in front of you today. I can honestly tell you, no chance am I talking to you guys. No chance do I know about the disability community. No chance I meet anybody else or anything if it wasn't for the birth of my child. So that's why I'm standing in front of you today, is because of my family and my daughter. My son's 13, Carly is 12, and my youngest is 8. So I'm up here for them too. Just so you know, I consider everybody in this room a family member. I mean, we're all family. If you are sitting next to somebody you don't know what their name is, guess what your homework is like before you stand up out of your chair or before you leave? Nobody knows. Know their name. For goodness sakes, know each other's name. We're all family in this room. All right, so that's my family. All right, so what's your mindset? I'm curious. One word, not a phrase of words. Give me one word on what y'all's mindset is after y'all graduated the partners in policy making training and everything, and you graduated. What's y'all's mindset? With one word. Y'all just raise your hand, just blurt it out. Prepared? What did you say? Driven? Hope? Conquer. I mean, yeah, I mean, hope and conquer and driven. I mean, that's what you have to be. And so the 3 words or 4 words that were just said, I want you to remember those words as we get toward the end of this. Because what you just said is what you're going to have. And at the end, I want to ask the same thing, and more than 4 people answer the question, right? We all have a mindset and we all want to make a change or impact policy. And I'll just kind of tell you really how I did it and the mindset that we have to have. I always love showing this video. Listen, that is one of my favorite videos of all time. I've probably watched that 2,500 times when I get up in the morning. Listen, the video is telling you the mindset that you have to have. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go off on a tangent every once in a while, so y'all just hang on. Because what you were about to embark on, and when you made the decision to become an advocate or become a better advocate and be better prepared and driven and everything else, you have to wake up every single day with that same drive. Because what you were embarking on now is one of the most difficult things you're ever going to do in your life, in my opinion. That's to impact change for the better, to change things that have been going on. The famous saying is, well, how long have we been doing this? Well, we haven't changed it because we've just always done it that way. You have got to wake up every single morning with the same mindset that you're not going to be stopped at the task that you're doing. And it just so happens in these groups and amongst these great, wonderful family members that we have, you're all doing it for the same greater good for all people. And I will ask you a favor. If you ever wake up and there is somewhere to be, to stand up for those who can't, to be a voice for those who may not have one, and you were in here today saying, I'm doing it, and there's ever a day that you wake up and you're not driven to make a change, then you need to step aside. That's hard to hear, isn't it? Because if you don't wake up with the same drive that you had just right now in this moment, well, then step aside, because we've got to have essentially people, and I'm using this kind of as an analogy, but you got to be a fighter out there. You really do. It's not easy. Does anybody in this room think what you're about to do to work and try to impact policy and make a change and the drive to do so, is all that stuff that comes after today, is that going to be easy for you? No. And so if your mind isn't right, you're not going to make it. You're not going to impact change. I'm just telling you the harsh reality. You got to wake up driven. You got to have the right mindset. My daughter has a disorder called CDKL5 deficiency disorder. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat anything for you because that's not who I am. I hate that she's got a disorder. And if you don't understand that, and I'm sorry, and if I offend you, I'm sorry again. But I'm telling you straight from the heart, I don't like the disorder. Love my daughter. I don't like the disorder. I don't like it. CDKL5 is really rare. When she was diagnosed in 2012, we were the first one in Alabama. We were only of about 1 in, I think, 200 to 300 in the world at the time we were diagnosed. And now, fast forward from those days till now, 11 years ago, it's one of the most common forms of epilepsy. But when we were getting diagnosed with it, they didn't even have a blood test at Children's Hospital that tested for it. And now it's actually one of the first things they'll test for if you're missing milestones and whatnot. But that's what she has. She also has epilepsy, but this is her diagnosis. And the prevalence rate for CDKL5, just so you know the numbers, is about 1 in 40,000 to 60,000 births will have CDKL5. CDKL5 is a gene that your body produces all the time. She has a frame shift, and she also has a deletion at exon number 7 on the CDKL5 gene. So her brain does not develop as it should. And so she has difficulty. She's nonverbal. She cannot walk. She can't feed herself. She is total care. And I don't like it. I don't. But I will tell you this, God's got me right here, right now, because of what she is going through. The people that you are going to impact, the people that you just sat through, however many days it was, however many hours you want to add up, you just sat through all of this to stand up for the same thing. For the people that are depending on you. Whether they know it or not in our community, you guys are going to be going to bat for them. That's what you just learned, right? And now you got to have the mindset. I don't like that this situation exists. And there's going to be policies that you guys talk about after you leave here and go work as teams or on your own that you're not going to like those policies. You're not going to like that disability is around. Well, it is. Now we got to face the music and say, listen, we're all human beings. Oh, she is doubling me up here. That was Brooke Thomas. Nobody's watching online, but that was me, just like a reverb or something. She stopped me from going on a tangent. So that's lucky for you. That's right. So listen, when my daughter was diagnosed, 2012, I looked at, and my life is an open book. If you have followed me on social media, I will tell you anything and everything about me. I don't care. And I will tell you, when my daughter was diagnosed in 2012, I took it upon myself, me, little old me, one person, nobody, and I'm going to go cure this thing. I am going to have a part in the cure for my daughter. That's the way I looked at it. I mean, my son made me a dad, but my daughter with a disability and being diagnosed, I mean, that is tough. It is tough to hear that as a parent, and it doesn't matter. You can label it whatever you want. It's still tough. And I'm going to speak to you from a caregiver's perspective. There is no caregiver that I've ever spoken to that prayed to have a daughter like mine. None. Nobody prays that. We just don't. But it's where we are. So I was going to cure the disorder. So I went skydiving. Anybody been skydiving? None? Well, guess what your first activity is next weekend? I've got coupons. You can jump out of a perfectly good airplane and you'll be fine. It's going to be scary. Worst part of skydiving, I'll go ahead and tell you. The worst part of skydiving is from the time you wake up that morning, and you've never done it, the time you wake up in the morning and the time you leave the plane. It's that anxiety buildup. But let me go ahead and tell you, the free fall for 60 full seconds at 120 miles per hour is absolutely awesome. So if you have not done it, maybe you should look into it. I can't tell you to do it, but it's fun. But that's how I wanted to raise money. And why in the world did I choose skydiving? Well, because my mentality is And listen, this is how nonprofits are, and this is how charity is. We tend to get into a rut of doing the same things for fundraisers. Do we not? I can't name, there's people in this room that can name all the organizations. Everybody does kind of the same fundraiser. And guess what? Everybody is going after the same what? Dollar. They really are. So I was like, you know what? I got to do something different. Did I have to do skydiving? No, but it's fun. All right. So I did that. So here's me, just in case you didn't know what it was like. And listen, I wrapped it up. This is awesome. Look at that view right there. Is that sweet or what? That is absolutely rad. Look, I'm not kidding. Look at this. Now watch this. Well, whoever said that, I may have been. I mean, look at that. You just basically roll out of there. It's one of the most fun times I've ever had. If you've never done it, that's what you will look like. By the way, that you will be with a tandem instructor. I'm giving y'all's assignment. Skydive Alabama, I'll give them a shout out. Great people. That right there is one of the most fun I've ever had. And doing it for children and trying to cure a disorder that, I mean, I just don't like. We had one really good year, and I think we raised about $60,000, I believe, for people jumping out of an airplane. But they were doing it for kids, for other people and adults too. But at the time, back then, nobody had ever heard of CDKL5. Nobody. I'd never heard of it. So that's what you look like. By the way, on TV, you'll see that you can talk to somebody while you're free falling. Guess what? There is no possible way you can. It is not physically possible. First off, you will be screaming as loud as you can. You ain't gonna be sitting there laughing. You should be, but you're gonna scream first. You know what? When you scream on a skydive like this, do you know who you cannot hear? Yourself. So, jump out of that plane and get it done. And that's exactly how you land. There's no feet running on the ground and landing easy. Two people can't do that, by the way. You'll hurt yourself. All right. So I went skydiving. Y'all may know the guy in the middle. Listen, that is Gary Palmer. He jumped out. So I always got to give him credit. I mean, he at least jumped out for us. And then that's the mayor of Pelham. I think he's still the mayor of Pelham, maybe. Gary Waters. But the reason why we jumped out of airplanes is try to bring attention, at least the very bare minimum, to the disorder that nobody knows about. I mean, you imagine, do you know what kind of uphill battle that is? You have a disorder, your child has a disorder that nobody has ever heard of. It's ultra rare. At the time, it was 200 to 300 in the world, not in Alabama, not in the United States, in the world. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, this pill to swallow. I'm going to go cure. I'm going to go jump out of airplanes. I got to bring attention to it somehow because nobody's heard of it. So we jumped out of planes. We did a lot of other things that year and trying to cure a disorder that was just discovered, by the way. The CDKL5 gene itself was discovered in 2004. All right. So that's kind of how behind they are in research. But this is kind of what was the kicker, right? For me, my personal story. Maybe not for you. We all have a different story. But this was, does anybody know what words did I put up there? Intractable or refractory epilepsy is? Can somebody define that for me? I mean, I can define it, but do y'all know what that is? All right, not everybody at once. Just kidding. It means it can't be really controlled, right? I mean, it's uncontrollable. That's really the way you see it. Uncontrollable seizures all the time. That's what my daughter was going through. And it was CDKL5, which is the disorder that is causing seizures, and it was going nonstop. This is she is very young. My daughter is 12 now. She's about 49 pounds and 12 years old. So this was a minute ago. But this is kind of what you go through as a parent. I mean, look how young that baby is right there. All the time. All the time. It was just so routine. It just became, that's just part of life. I mean, that's kind of how we are now. We'll get to, but back then, this is just all the time. It wouldn't stop. I'll show you more. Here's another one. These are just ones I have on videos I was trying to get. I mean, I don't like seeing it in a video. I don't like it. Why would I show this to you? To help you what? to help you understand what people are going through with epilepsy and what families might be going through. That's why I'm showing it to you. And that'll make more sense to you as we get towards the end. Here is the one that, as the story progresses, this is the one I put on the laptop and took with me. And this one has volume. Can you turn it up? I know the speakers may not be. Absolutely. I don't like showing you that, but I'll show it to you to help you understand what families go through. It's part of the story. The part of your story and the part of your loved one's story, you don't take out the bad parts and only tell people the good parts. And if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong because it's part of your story. It's going to be very important to know your story and why you were doing this. And plus for self-advocates to know your story. It's very important to know that as we go through this presentation, know your story. All right. That's part of my story. She still has seizures today. They're not as frequent. This is one of my, which we'll get into. This is one of my favorite quotes. At any given moment, you have the power to say, this is not how the story is going to end. So whatever you think is so negative and so bad in your personal life or in policy world, in Montgomery and DC, you have the power yourself as you are in front of me to do something about it. I'm telling you, this isn't a, well, do you think I can? I know you can. You have the power to say, this isn't how this is going to go. I mean, who does not have that mentality as you were in this room tonight? Raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. Nobody is raising their hand because you know you can flip the script. You can change the narrative. You can change the story. It's up to you. All right. Now look, does anybody know what kind of plant that is on the right? That is a plant. The attorney's in the room. Yeah. So I know this is being recorded or is out there in Never Never Land. That is not at my house. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. It's not in my backyard. It's nowhere close. But potpourri is really nice. So listen, I was a cop for about 10 years. Police. And when I tell you, and I'm upfront with you about how many people I arrested, hundreds, if not thousands of people in 10 years. You break the law to me, you're going to jail. That's the way it was. That's why we have laws. Guess what changed my mind on this plant? Was it somebody on the street that I arrested? Maybe not really. It wasn't. Who might have changed my mind? My daughter. Because in around that time, at the same time we were talking about 2012, 11, 12, 13-ish, as that was going, there was something that came out on CNN called Weed. I don't know if you ever saw it, the original Weed documentary with Sanjay Gupta. And I'm telling you, I was a police officer doing my job, and I was sitting at the kitchen table and also sitting at the kitchen table with my daughter doing the things that you saw in the video, which really is worse in person. And I'm watching a girl in Colorado get help from an oil that's derived from this plant. And I could not understand why in the world that our kids and our people have no access to this. What is the problem? I'm a cop now. It still isn't after I was police. So yeah, I put that slide in here because it's kind of funny. And that is me. My hair's changed just a little bit. I found that emoji not too long ago. Do you know how many closed-minded people we have that sit around you every day? So let me ask you, we all just kind of snickered and laughed and said all of them. How hard is your job going to be setting up, going out and trying to impact policy? Is it going to be easy? It's an uphill battle. Why do you think you have to have the right mindset? You already know it's an uphill battle. Guys, everything is stacked against you. That's the way I look at it. Tell me something cannot happen, and guess what? I will find a way to do. I will make it happen. And when it's your child or a loved one or the people that we fight for every day, that makes it even more determined. I'll go to bat for anybody. Not anybody, but you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of closed-minded people, and guess whose minds you're going to have to open? Theirs. So 2013, I knew an uphill battle what we had. I knew where we were. We're in Alabama. End of 2013, I got a meeting with the governor, and I just told him, hey, listen, if you see a bill ever come across your desk and it's got, has to do with the cannabis plant or oil or something, listen, don't veto it, because it may help a lot of people out. And he said, you know what, we'll do all this politician speak, right? I don't remember exactly what he said, but it made me mad that in the paper, I don't know, a week after that, he said it was against everything, that he had just told me that, hey, all that, and he gave me a photo op. I was talking about this in the hallway. Politicians, I'm not speaking bad of them as a person, because I don't know all the politicians. I can tell you from my personal experience, they love getting their picture made with kids. They love getting their picture made with you to send back home to your constituents, because where are you guys more than likely going to put that? And I do it too. I still do it. I'm not saying it's wrong. Where are you putting it? Facebook. Who sees it? Everybody. And then when it comes down to making either something happen or not happen, guess who typically, not all the time, but guess who you have to make sure goes where you need them to go to vote how they need to vote to impact policy? Them. Well, they just took your pick. I mean, listen, my personal experience, they have told me they're going to vote for a bill that I was for. And I kid you not, walked right down there on the Senate floor and voted the exact opposite of what they just told me in their office. I'm not making that up. Closed minds, politics, and all that good stuff. That's what you're up against. I mean, isn't that what partners in policy making really does, right? Policy. Where does policy get made? A lot of times. Yeah, it's with these guys. All right. So you got an uphill battle. So it wasn't enough for me just to say, oh, I watched Sanjay Gupta and I think this will work. I made a trip to Colorado. Again, that's not my backyard. It's not. That's not my backyard. Those are actually really immature cannabis plants. Those will go all the way up to the ceiling. Or so I was told. But I was a police officer right there. That's why I think it's funny. That's why I put it in the presentation. And I'm out in Colorado. I wanted to see, hey, listen, if before I get on board here, is this really legit? Is this really going on? I want to see it with my own eyes. So I just sat out there and I went out there and met the families. Back then, they were known as essentially medical refugees or marijuana refugees, because they had access in Colorado and we didn't have it here. Does anybody see a problem with that? I mean, I did. And listen, the people that might say, I don't know if I can get behind stuff like that because all this kind of stuff, when it's your child or your loved one, your mind is open and you are going to go fight for your kid. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Yeah, it's you have a different mind shift. Your mind shifts into it's time to go mode, because it's your kid or it's a loved one or it's somebody that you know that could really benefit from something. That's when you step up. That's when you get to swinging and you don't stop till something happens. That's the mindset that you're going to have. Alabama 2012, I'm in a grow out in Colorado looking at this thing saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to do something about it. And we're just going to give it a go. So we did. It's an uphill battle. Has anybody been to the State House? That's what the front looks like. Hey, everybody's been there. And I didn't get the picture. I think it happened right after, but slime, like on like an hour clock, it drips off the roof. It's green slime. Anybody ever remember Nickelodeon where they slimed you? Kind of looks like that. I'm just kidding. There is no timer that dumps slime. I mean, come on, y'all. It's funny. It's a good place, but it also can be a tough place. There's good people in there, and then there's people that I don't agree with. They're not bad. Just don't agree with everybody. And that's okay. That's okay if we don't all agree. Listen, does anybody know who Patricia Todd is? Can you tell me that's a pretty interesting picture? I'll tell you why it's an interesting picture, because she's a Democrat. She was the first openly gay legislator in Alabama. That is me with the bald head in the kind of middle. That is Speaker Hubbard. And then there's Mike Ball, who sponsored the first version of Carly's Law in a picture, and we all were on the same team. Middle is a good place for me in that picture. And then the two on the left of the screen were not Democrats. It's an interesting picture. Guess what you guys are going to have to do? What's your task of doing? Yeah, you got to make your picture. You are going to have to get people that just disagree fundamentally with everything else, and whatever it is you're trying to do, you are going to, it's up to us. It's not up to them. Don't leave it up to a politician. Leave it up to yourself. You be the person that bridges the gap between some misunderstandings. That's what you're going to have to do. And that's how difficult it is. Back then, I think it still is a supermajority. Supermajority. Do y'all know what supermajority means? Basically, whatever that party wants, guess what? That's what's going to happen. Supermajority. All right. Don't let that discourage you, because they may want what you want, but that's just the facts of politics in Alabama. Listen, as I tell you, get the right mindset and know your story. We had to start telling a story. You have to know your story. If I'm asking you, you do not answer out loud. I don't want the answer, so it's kind of rhetorical. If you are sitting in this room and you don't know how to go and tell somebody your story on why you want to impact policy and why you are sitting in their office and why you're walking down to this office and you'll see me again next month on this date, if you don't know that story, you have more homework to do. You have to have a story. Think to yourself as you're in here tonight, why are you here? If you cannot tell yourself, well, this is why I'm here and this is what I'm all about, well, then you've got homework. If you can't sit here and say it, surely you didn't just go through all this for, I'm just going to not do really much of anything. I don't really know who I am. I don't know what my story is. Know your story. Everybody in this room, including myself. That was one of the more proud moments of the whole time. I just showing you more stuff, speaking on the floor of the House. Alan Farley does not give a ton of credit a lot for the bills that passed that I helped with, but he was a big part of it. So if anybody's listening, know Alan Farley, say thank you. He's retired out of the legislature now. But that was a proud moment, not just for me. It was a proud moment because Carly's Law passed, and it just helped people out. It allowed us study at UAB to use CBD to treat seizures, the short of it. And in the middle of all this, and I'll move on from the legislation a bit, but in the midst of all this, writing this bill, I literally, the House of Representatives, y'all been to the State House? You've talked to members of the House. Those are not the senators. Those are the other ones. There are like 115 of them. Their offices aren't big. The senators, they have a huge office. All right. So I'm in a very small office helping write a bill with Mike Ball. Doing all this thing, I took that picture of my daughter screaming. I took it on a laptop to every single person I can at the State House. Why would I do that? I'll tell you why I did that. Because the story I was telling was not registering with the politicians that are making the decisions. And I'd been down there for at least a month telling my story. Why do I need this bill to pass? Because of my daughter. You know what everybody would always say? Yeah, seizures are bad. I'm so sorry to hear about your child. And I hate that. That's not the answer I want to hear. Here's the bill that I want you to vote for. And I wasn't getting anywhere. So I'll put that video on a laptop and I went down there and guess who I showed? Everybody I could. That tells the story. Me sitting here telling you my story and saying my daughter suffers from seizures since she was 8 weeks old. You have no clue, if you're not around seizures all the time, what that looks like in a child. It tells you the story. Sometimes you got to be visual. It's called telling the story and making things happen. You've got to do it. If you don't know your story and why you're doing this, know it before you leave this room. That is Governor Ivy. I think she's still our governor. Is that right? Met with the governor, all that good stuff, man. Feel good, pass a bill. Let's go down. Let's talk to the governor. Let's talk to all the politicians. Great time. By the way, I didn't do this by myself. Families got involved. That was a picture of the kids a while ago. Families got involved. They wanted to tell their what? They wanted to tell their story. Because listen, if you have a child with a disability, I'm speaking from personal experience, but I bet I ring true in some of the hearts of you that has children with a disability or a label, as I like to sometimes call it. You feel like you're shut out. You feel like you're shut out of society. All of a sudden, my daughter's got a disorder, a seizure disorder. I'm not really part of society anymore. And I know that happens to parents. And I've cried probably 15 times as an adult dad. Probably before that, I probably cried twice. And I mean boo-hoo snot bubble cried. I'm not scared to tell you. But when you're diagnosed or your child is, all of a sudden you become something that nobody wants to be around. So we lose friends. It's what it's like being a parent. I'm not telling you to tell you anything different than your families that you know that have a child with a disability. That's what we all feel. So they can't fast forward all that. Carly's Law, it allowed people to obtain CBD oil through UAB. One of the best moments I ever had was not at the State House. One of the best moments that I knew that I was trying to do the right thing, even though people will tell you you're doing the wrong thing because they don't agree with you, is when I was at Children's Hospital and I was in the lab room, the lab waiting to get blood work done. And it was just me and Carly sitting there waiting to have blood work done. And I heard a couple talking to another parent or grandparent. And paraphrasing here, said basically something, this oil changed our life. And that's what they were talking about. I don't even know who it was. I don't know their name. I didn't go up and say, hey, I'm Dustin Chandler. I added, and my daughter's Carly. I didn't do that. I just heard it. And let me tell you something, when you do things that you are going to do, you are going to make a positive impact on people that you will never meet. You're never going to meet them. But that's not what you're in it for, to meet them. You're in it to make a better society and make a better world for everybody. And then some days you're going to get those nice little surprises like that, and some days you're not. Some days it's going to be hard when you're trying to impact policy and change it, and you're going to want to what? Quit. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. You're going to want to quit. Guess what you can't do? Quit. If you are a quitter, you can't be in this game. That's a non-starter. All right, so fast forward to about 2019. The guy on the right is Dr. Jerzy Slavorsky from UAB. He contacted me in between a lot of things saying, hey, we need a more comprehensive cannabis medical bill. What do you think we can do? He called me in 2017, and I said, there's no way. I'm not even getting involved in it. And we reached back out. We shared notes. We talked. I was like, listen, he was sharing the research that he had on medical cannabis. And he asked me to get back involved and see what we could do. And I said, well, the only way I do it, the only way I get back involved is if you, Dr. Slavorsky from UAB, stands up and testifies during hearings. And he said, I'm in. I said, I'm down. Let's do it. Took us 2 years. The Carly's Law, that passed in the first session, which is, it's difficult to do, but it passed in one session. The medical cannabis legislation that's in place today took about 2 years because of COVID 2020. I think we would have passed in 2020, but that was canceled. But he is a doctor, Tim Melson right there in the middle, yellow tie. He was a sponsor, and he is a medical research doctor. I had a medical research doctor telling me he is the sponsor of the bill in the Senate. You had Mike Ball, I believe, is in there. He is doing the House side, just helping out. And then there I am again. I don't know why I went back. But I will tell you why I went back, because I was going back for the people that didn't help the first time. Because if people got left out, and I have a doctor telling me from a very reputable college telling me, hey, we think we can do stuff for more people, then that's what we should do. All right. Medical researcher, senator right there. We're all in. Still took 2 years. And to this day, people don't agree with me, and that's fine. We can all disagree. But I know that bill passed, and I think it's going to help people. Self-advocates. How many self-advocates do we have in here? Big part of the equation. If us as advocates are out there and we're speaking on behalf and we're doing this and we're doing that, that is all wonderful. If you are not bringing the self-advocate or your child or your friend or somebody else with you to have their voice heard, you need to start doing it. They have a voice too. If they're nonverbal, can they communicate? Yes, they can. They can. My daughter is nonverbal and she was heard in Montgomery, and so were all the other kids. Don't leave out self-advocates. Don't just meet them in class and say we know each other, and then in 6 weeks, we don't ever talk to them again. Don't let that happen. Society is going to tell you to let that happen. Society is going to tell you that. Don't let it happen. If you made a friend that has a disability, be their friend. Stay their friend after tonight and on down the road when you see each other, and call them and check on them. Be kind to each other. Don't just do it here. Self-advocates were a big part. God rest Ozzy's soul. God took him home too soon, in my opinion, but I don't make those decisions. And his mom, Miss Dustin, is holding him. They were down there. The Tishners were down there. You have to get people to tell their story. They're a big part of it. That's why you were doing what you do, or what you're going to do. So it wasn't just me and all this. It was people telling their stories, telling and making an impact. I don't know. That's just fun to me to look at. The people that don't agree with me, and I still say we got 68 yays and 34 nays and one abdominal muscle. Somebody just didn't, they just didn't want to vote, so they went to the bathroom when it was voting. That was the final count, and that passed it. Still not up and running yet. I think it's probably going to be 2024 till that really happens. All right, that's just a fun picture. That's Mike Ball. He started off with short hair. Yeah, that's him. That's not a, that's his hair. That was fun. Y'all are supposed to laugh at this picture. Thank you. Now my hair kind of has gone opposite of what you used to be. But listen, there's my daughter back in the day when we were going to Montgomery. She was telling her story. She's telling her story. You're going to be alongside people that want to tell their story. And guess what? You as advocates, you as graduates are going to stand right there by them, and you're going to fight as hard as you can for them. And they're going to also fight. Don't leave out people like my daughter or children like her or their parents. We're all human beings. We're all on the same team. All right. Does anybody know who this guy is on the screen? Listen, you have got to tell your story. The reason why you have to share your story is everything we've said, but also you guys are going to be talking to people making policy decisions, doing other things. Maybe it's in different areas. Maybe it's not the legislature. Maybe it's somewhere else. And you know, there's two things that you can change in somebody, right? In my opinion, you can change their mind sometimes. You know what's more important that you guys have got to make sure you are focused on and do not take your eye off of it, but it's very difficult. It's changing the hearts in people. You've got to tell your story to change people's hearts. Hearts have to change, not just minds. You can change a mind and get a vote and you had a win. That's great. If you didn't attempt and not keep everything to try to change their heart, guess what is probably not going to happen in the future? Whatever it is you thought, hey, he's on our team. Guess what? If you haven't changed their heart, you don't know where they are the next time. You've got to focus on changing people's hearts. This is Paul Hearn. Anybody ever heard of the ADA? No, not all of y'all have heard of the ADA in the United States. 1990, I think, was the year they signed it. Well, the ADA was made official, right, in 1990. George Bush, first one. Is that right? He signed it. This guy made a comment, hey, listen, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting him. He's a big part of the disabilities movement. And he was at the signing celebration or dinner or whatever, and he was talking about it and paraphrasing his words, but essentially said, hey, listen, that's great. We got accessibility to all these things. We got all this changed and we got all that changed. But that's not going to do anything if we don't change the bus driver's heart, the person at the store's heart, and everything else. So we can change the policy all day long and change their mind to say, hey, listen, this is what needs to happen. But until we change the hearts of those people that I want to understand our population and loved ones, it's going to be hard to get places in the future. Does that make sense? You've got to change the minds in the short term, and changing the heart lasts in the long term. You change people's hearts and their mind when you share your story on why you're in this. Self-advocates in the room, you change hearts of people when you share your story and your personal story. And don't sugarcoat anything. Your story is your story. And you sit down in front of people, either in Montgomery or wherever it is that you're going to go and try to impact policy. And you have the courage to sit right in front of them and tell them your story. Because everybody in this room, I support every single one of you. I've got your back. And I bet the person sitting next to you has your back too. So when you are talking to somebody, telling your story, somebody has your back. Don't cower and say, no, I'm not going to do this, and we're going to get scared. You guys are going to face some pretty big opposition probably on a lot of the policy changes. Do you think changing policy about cannabis was difficult? In fact, I'll tell you what I was told. I was told, no way in hell that's happening in Alabama. That's what I was told. It ain't going to happen. Senator kicked up his feet on the desk and said, you know what? Yeah, that's a good story and everything, but good luck. And he laughed as he put a dip in. No kidding. I'm not kidding. I said, that's all right. And we had an uphill battle. You guys are going to face an uphill battle. You got to change hearts. You know who we're borrowing this earth from? Do you know who we're borrowing the earth from? Do you know? You are borrowing what you are trying to build from the people that come behind us, from our kids and their kids' kids and the kids' kids' kids and the societies that happen after us. Make it a better place. While we are all where we are in the phase of our life, we're there. Guess who has not have begun their phases yet? The people behind us. People before us did it. I think it was one of the godfather of ADA. I think Justin Dart, the godfather of ADA. Guess what he did for everybody in this room and all the people that were working with him, and all the people. And I think we just lost a pioneer, Judy, and I think you pronounced her last name Human. Does anybody find that ironic? Her last name was pronounced Human, I believe. That's all we want to be treated as, is human and fair treatment. That's all. It's what it's about. We're human beings, for goodness sakes. So we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Do y'all understand that? People like this that came way before us, and then people that came way before them. And guess what? People are coming after you. So how are you going to make the difference? How are you going to make the changes in a positive way that impact them the way that these guys impacted us? Do you see how you have to do this? You have to do that for the people that we're borrowing everything from. And it's basically civilization that's behind us. Make it a better place, and don't get scared. People have your back. Your friends that you made during this whole process, y'all are a team. If y'all go after this and never talk to each other again, you are doing it wrong. Your friends, you are a team. You are in here to fight for the common good of everybody. And if you're not, then you stand up and walk out. Nobody's going to not like you. You're not going to be on the camera because it's facing this way. That's how serious I take it. Has anybody ever seen starfish along the beach? Like washed up starfish? Has anybody ever seen that natural phenomenon? Seriously. You can go to the beach at certain times of year, and no kidding, there will be thousands of starfish on the beach that have just washed up. It's amazing. It's fascinating. Anybody ever heard the old fable or story? It's the star thrower story. And that's how you have to think. You have to think this way. If you think that we are going to go out there, even as a huge group, and we're going to change the world for every single person, and we're going to do it all in one swoop, does anybody believe that? It's because it's a long play. It's a long race. It's a long race. You're going to have short victories, but the bigger victory is going to be longer. Starfish on the side of the beach, all washed up, and this little boy is throwing them back in the ocean. Throwing them back in the ocean. All these starfish. There's thousands looking down the coastway, and this old man walks up to him and says, "Hey, son, what are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm saving all these starfish." And the guy just kind of chuckles and says, "Well, okay, well, do you see how many starfish are in? There's no way you can get all these starfish and save them." And he threw another one in the water and said, "But I just did that one." That's how you have to go about this. If you make one positive change for one person, is that a win or not? That is a win. Stack up your wins when you get them. And I promise you, working hard enough, not quitting, not saying this is too hard, not saying, well, they don't really want to talk to me. That doesn't really cut it. You're going to have to go for the long play. You're going to have to look at the beach of starfish and pick one up and throw it in the water and say, "Hey, at least I did that one. I've got that one." And then pick up the next one. And don't fall into the trap of, "Hey, we got this one big victory and it felt good. And my job is done. I'm finished." I thought my job was done too. And it wasn't done. You are going to be doing this for a long time. You have got to stay with the right mindset, waking up every single day with the mindset that you're going to save as much as you can and when you can do it. And like I said, Paul Hearn that said, he was the one that was quoted as saying at the signing that said, "Hey, here's to a changed heart." He said that, "Here's to a changed heart." At the signing ceremony. Listen, that's all great. Here's to change hearts in this country. You got to change hearts. The only way you're changing hearts is telling your story. And you got to save did I go backwards? Well, there's my kids again. How'd they get in here? Did my son have that? Just kidding, guys. If you got loved ones, I'm pretty sure that you do. You're doing this for them. You're doing this for the person that's sitting next to you. You're doing it for you possibly. And you're doing it, like I said, for people that you're never going to meet. You're not going to meet them. And by the way, do you think you're going to get a present or a little necklace or a watch like when people retire and says, "Hey, thank you, job well done," every single time you get victories? It's not going to happen. And you know what? That's not what you're in it for. You're not in it for that. The rewards you should have is if we made positive change for society as a whole, and we start being more inclusive and we start doing what we're supposed to be doing, that's the win that you're going for. If you don't have the mindset, you've got to really come up and have it every single day. So I ask you again, what is the mindset that you've got to have? It is not going to be easy, folks. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and say, "You know what, it was pretty much a breeze. Once we got this and this done, it just coasted." Nope. Policy making is hard. Do y'all agree? Yes, and what? Yes, it's hard. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot less no's in policy changing. And there's a lot of it that probably needs to be changed. And by the way, just so you know, I'm not saying go hate on anybody. There's too much of that in this world. And I'll ask you this as we end this. I mean, you've got to know your mindset. You've got to tell your story. But after today, you need to pick one person. I don't know who it is. It could be a complete stranger at the grocery store. I don't know. Go be kind to that person. We have gotten away from being kind to one another, and it's not good. It's not good. However you see kindness and you want to do it, I task you with doing it at least once this weekend. And I don't know what that looks like for you. You know what I think is the easiest thing that you can do the next time you're out in public? I'm going to give you an easy win. It's going to be what happens when this presentation's over. Put a smile on your face. When you are in public, for goodness sakes, put a smile on your face. When you go try to impact policy, don't go in there trying to punch somebody in the nose. Put a smile on your face. Put a smile on your face to your neighbor. I don't care if you agree with them or not. We can disagree on a lot of things. But what we can't disagree on is a smile makes somebody look happy. And whatever you're going through, listen, I'm a big believer. You got to be kind to everybody because we don't know what struggles you're going through. Each one of us are going through a struggle of some sort. And that's why you got to be kind. That's why you got to put a smile on your face, even when you're in the trenches trying to impact policy change. And so I will tell you, I will be as honest as I can. I'm going to pray for each and every one of you. And I hope that you go out and do the best things that you know how to do in the skill set that you have and go change the world. Get the mindset, go home tomorrow. That is the first thing you do. You've got homework. What the first thing to do, be kind to somebody. Put a smile on your face. Be kind to them. Even if you disagree, be kind. And then when you start on this journey, it's going to be hard. Keep a smile on your face and keep moving. You've got all these people around you that support you. And me too. So I'm going to be praying for you. And please, each one of you know this. Sincerely, I love each and every one of you. I do. And you're sitting there saying, man, I don't know you from anybody. That's okay. I still love you. Take love and kindness and go change the world. That's it. That's all I've got. Anybody want to? Thank you. Change the world. Does anybody want to do karaoke? Any questions, comments, concerns? Going once. Go. You talking about yeah, I think she wants you to put it on the mic where everybody can hear you. I think you're on mute. I think she's saying she wants to do Spanish and sing because she speaks very good Spanish, by the way. And she wants to sing, what was it?
This is Maria. I would like for you to share with us about the advocacy that you have done beyond advocating for your daughter and getting help for the families in Alabama that have children that suffer epilepsy, but the form that you created, that is actually very helpful for families to have, because that's one of the forms that I always share with families.
You're talking about the PAL form?
The PAL form.
Yeah. So what she's talking about is I have one side of my life, I have a company called Interaction Advisory Group, what Daryl mentioned earlier. We were training police and other first responders on how to interact with people with developmental disabilities. We're out there doing that. And what she's talking about is creating a way where we can basically get on the same page as a team. Law enforcement has a tough job. I was a cop for a very long time. And she's talking about a form. Anybody can go to interactionadvisorygroup.com and download that form. And if you have a child at home that the law enforcement or fire department needs to know about, you can write that down and just go hand it to them. There could be a way for you to do it online. But it's letting people know about situations before they get to your house. It's important. That's advocacy. And that's also called inclusion in my book. Listen, law enforcement is covered under ADA. I think it is Title II. They would know more. I think it's Title II. It's covered, but let me tell you, we all got to be on the same team. And talking about populations like the Hispanic population, she would be more well-versed than that. We can't leave anybody out, by the way, because you can't speak a certain language, any language. No way. Can't do that. And I think it was also the Korean, the population too, guys. I mean, listen, it's more than just everybody sitting in this room. So yeah, you can go there and listen, we are doing our best as Interaction Advisory Group, just making a difference with police, letting them understand the differences that they're going to face. And that's hopefully going to keep everybody safer. But it's a full approach of caregiver training and also self-advocate training. We all got to be on the same page, but yeah, you can go to the website and get that. And it's just a real easy form to fill out and make sure that people know what they need to know. And it's all voluntary information. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, is there any crossover between your the Interaction Advisory Group and CIT training at all?
CIT training is crisis intervention training is what she's talking about. There's not really any crossover. I mean, we teach de-escalation too. We go over that. Crisis intervention, in my opinion, is the crisis is occurring. what we train for is to prevent a crisis happening while we are there. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not down on CIT training. I think it's good. It's beneficial. We also go into communication styles and everything else because we know in our population, my loved ones' populations and everybody that sometimes things can be misinterpreted and stuff. And we just want everybody to know that. So we're trying to prevent an escalation in an event. Yeah. Anybody else? Is everybody wanting to, let's see, it's like, oh my gosh, it's 8:50. Just kidding. At least 4 of y'all looked at your watch. I promise you, at least 4 looked at your watch. Who was it? Who was it that looked at your watch? Y'all all looked at your watch. That's fine. It's okay. I looked at my watch too to figure out what kind of joke I could pull on y'all. It's fun. All right. No karaoke. Anybody? This is the last time I'm going to ask. No karaoke. That's my question. Go ahead. I think you need a mic. Here you go.
Doing the video, did that help make your story shorter? Because I like when I think about telling my story to legislate, just telling my stories anyway is long. My son's medical history is long. So and they're like, okay, when you go before legislate, you have a few minutes,
Yeah, you get 3 minutes.
Like, how am I going to tell that in such a short time?
So
Did
you're
the video help?
You talking about the seizure?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so you
have to be visual.
Okay.
I mean, listen, we have social media. Has anybody ever heard of that term? I mean, listen, that's one of your greatest tools, in my opinion. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. If you guys are not utilizing video to help tell your story, you need to start doing that. Now, listen, the attention span of a U.S. consumer is how long, and how do I know that? How long is it? 60 seconds or less. Do you know why I know that? And I can tell you with great confidence that's the case. Because TikTok changed the game in social media. They changed the game. YouTube now has dumped billions of dollars into their program called Shorts. People are getting their information in short form content, everybody. They're not sitting down looking at a video for 2 hours. So guess what? In my opinion, you're asking about video. You should absolutely invest in some way and have a social media strategy and have short form content and have long form content that you can point back to. But absolutely video helps. In fact, if you can make a video, by the way, it doesn't have to be professionally done. Do a video with your cell phone. Does your cell phone take video? Does anybody have a flip phone in here? One person. So, all right, I don't know what his first name is. Well, he's got the nickname Flip Phone. That's okay. Flip phone, he's got the collars and the cuffs to match. So I'm not. Collars and cuffs, man. He's got them. He got me beat. Listen, if you're not using video with your phone, you may want to start doing that. In fact, I would say you need a social media strategy to help do exactly what you said. And then when you go amongst the people that you only have an elevator pitch to, then that's fine. You need my experience in Montgomery, especially in any advocacy I've done, you get such short amount of time. You have got to pick out what you exactly want them to hear. I know, listen, you're looking at a person that will talk the paint off these walls. Okay. I get it. But you are only going to be given a short amount of time in front of the decision makers. You cannot waste your time introducing yourself and then talking about all that you have done. You know why you don't need to do that? Because you just wasted 2 minutes talking about something you're not even in there to talk about. So video helps. I would also, if I were you and you're going to, like your son, I would have it written down and I'd have a social media guide, yours, not, whatever. Have your own social media plan and know when you're in front of the right people, how am I going to talk about this in less than 2 minutes? How are you going to be that impactful? The attention span of everybody is 60 seconds or less. And when you're in front of them, guess how many people come after you? Everybody wants their attention. When you get in an office and you're in front of the decision maker, you got to get there. You got to get to your point. So yeah, video helps. And if your son's situation is complex, it's even more important. Tell the story. Now you can go post that out there and just post it and have the story be told all the time. But when you get your chance, don't be messing around saying, hey, listen, I'm an Auburn fan too. They'll love that picture over there. That picture, I remember going all the way back. You wasted all your time. And you got to tell them one thing, not everything. Go ahead.
Hey, so first of all, this is Niles Valentine, and I was just thinking, like, since we were sharing stories, this
ahead.
is the closest thing that I just to understand just how real this is. So, someone from my past, I'm not going to name names here, she got in contact with me on Facebook and says, "Hey, Niles, I know this may be weird, but I ran across your page and I just wanted to apologize. All I can remember is being so mean to you as a child for being different. And that wasn't cool. I hope life is treating you well." So what I said was, God just put this on my heart to say this. Trust me, you are not the only one. Yes, I was different and I still am. One way I'm different is that I am a man of forgiveness. All things considered, I've seen people get much worse deals for much less reason. And I asked her how life has treated her. So here's what she told me. It says, really good. I really do appreciate it. And I apologize for any mental harm it may have caused, because she's a teacher and a mother now of someone who's also different.
Okay. Do you know what the lesson there is? And this is what you're going to face. I'm telling you, you're going to be talking to people that don't understand that. And that's a wonderful story. I'm not taking anything away from that. She actually got it. Do you know why she got it? She now has a personal connection to it. Now she's living the horror that she may have brought, maybe Niles. She doesn't know she wants to apologize. That's what you guys are up against. That's why your pitch and your video have to be spot on when you get there, because they're not going to understand it. That was why I took a seizure video to Montgomery. Me telling you my daughter is having seizures, I need access to CBD oil, and I know it comes from the cannabis plant, but my daughter needs it. Yeah, she's 2 or 3 years old, but she needs it. That didn't cut it. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because I said that. It wasn't until a short video that you just saw, that was the exact one of her screaming, and I just put it right in their face. But here's what I'm dealing with. That's what you have to do. And until they're personally impacted by it, they don't really understand. Are you talking about the oil? Oh, well, I mean, you know, first of all, first and foremost, before I answer any of these questions, you have got to consult with a physician before you do any of that. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I know you didn't mean that. I'm just saying that because this is going out to the world. All right. Consult with your physician, because it can be dangerous. It's not for everybody. Talk to your physician and see if that's right for you. That was really the plan for the bill we passed in 2021, is to get with your physician and come up with a treatment plan. Now, I will tell you, this is our experience. CBD oil and even cannabis for the use in medicine is not a magic bullet. Okay. That is my opinion. And you are going to see differing opinions on all that. It doesn't cure. I mean, listen, that can be a whole other discussion, but I will tell you my personal experience with my daughter, it has helped immensely. I mean, and it sounds wild, but on the second dose, we noticed a difference cognitively. We just did. After the second dose, it's hard to explain it to you other than my daughter wouldn't really, I never could really get any kind of gaze out of her at all, because she does not sit still. It's hard to get eye contact with her and all that. And after about that second dose, I mean, I think I even documented it because I put everything on social media for everybody to read. But I mean, it was a godly thing to me to be able to connect with my daughter that way. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think that would have been that way. So, I mean, it's helped her a lot. Now, is she seizure free? No, she's not. We had a really bad scare just about 6 weeks ago. We thought we lost her due to a seizure. So she's not seizure free, but has it helped? Yes. I would say right now, if we took her off CBD oil, she would go into the spiral of more seizures. So I think it does help. Yeah. Do I think it's going to help everybody that does it? May not. But I mean, if your physician says, hey, we should give this a try, you should you should look at that as a serious option, in my opinion, if that's what the doctor says, and if the law allows it. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Now we're at the point where everybody's saying, if you say anything, we're going to be fighting. All right. I have also been tasked with giving out, or announcing rather, awards. Did y'all know y'all got an award? Not, oh, y'all all voted among, y'all were the ones that voted. Now listen, be honest with yourself. Don't raise your hand, but who voted for themselves? The lawyers in the room again raise their hand. Goodness gracious. We all knew that, but we didn't have to hear it. That's right. All right, listen, we are going to get to this. Now, obviously, she just told you how that worked. Y'all obviously knew this was coming. So these are the awards. Are you going to give them out, Linda? I mean, are you going to hand them out? Okay. All right. So most team-oriented goes to Jennifer Rucker. Oh, yeah, you have to come up here, Jennifer. Come on. Way to go, Jennifer. Everybody give her another hand. Absolutely.
This is Jennifer. If you say your name, if we had it. This is Jennifer. What an honor. I am blown away. And I am so grateful to be in this room with all of you. And just, I jokingly said on that first day, I'm the old lady of the group. And so, thank you for making me feel so valuable to you. And as Dustin was saying, you know, we're all in this together. And I turned to Yvette and to Brandon and I said, I've got your back. And through my experiences, if there's anything I can do for anybody in this room, please call me. I'm glad to help anytime, because that is the one thing I have learned on my journey with Meredith, is that we are better together when we reach out to get help. When we don't know what's going on, go to the person who's been there and done that. And it's invaluable. So thank you very much.
Way to go. Congratulations. All right, on to the next one. Most helpful goes to, does anybody do drum rolls? Can you do one? All right, there you go. Maria Gutierrez. Yes, and I said it just like that. I did. Way to go, Maria. You have to talk too.
Oh, wow. I really do not know what to say except thank you. This has been a privilege. I am honored and I am very, very grateful for this opportunity. Being in Alabama has not been easy. Believe me. I have called people, Nancy Anderson, James Tucker, you know, knocking on their doors and asking for change in the state. But you guys are amazing people that is helping to push the state moving forward. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this great class. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Good job. Most helpful. And she is very helpful if you ever need a Spanish interpreter. Seriously, great. She has helped me on things. And I mean, I'll just call Maria for that too, for any kind of forms or anything like that. All right. So on to most adept at communicating goes to Miss Angela Richardson. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to say except thank you. I'm speechless. So, wait, what's this? Flip phone. Well, flip phone. But thank you guys. I'm honored as well. Thank you so much. I'm really am speechless. So I'm not used to getting awards. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I will have to say he's not using a flip phone videoing her. Does everybody know you had a flip phone and a smartphone? Oh, is that what it is? Oh, so it flips and takes video. You're still flip phone. All right, here we go. Are we gonna do this one right here? Did we say? We just gonna announce or just go next? Next. Okay. At the end. Okay, look. All right, up next is most improved advocate is to Brandon Crosby Christie. Is that how you pronounce that? Crosby? That's what's on the page. That's all right. Come on up here, Brandon. Way to go, Brandon. Would you like to say something? Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. This has really been a blessing to me. You guys are all my family now, so keep in touch.
Awesome. I like the suit too. Absolutely. There's two challengers in here. All right. All right. I don't believe they're with us. She is not here. Correct. All right. Most supportive, and we need to give a big round of applause, right? Is to Chantel Kellogg. Yay. Congratulations. All right. And then lastly, and listen, guys, you all are awesome. Seriously. Y'all keep up the great work. All of y'all. Did you want to tell them about the bags on the table? Yeah, on here. Okay. All right. So listen, keep up the great work. Somebody who has done an excellent job in all this, and a lot of this couldn't get out to this many people, and really make it accessible to people that couldn't be here, or in a lot of different things in our community. I'm proud to call him friend as well. And none of this could have happened without him and the production and everything. And it's all about accessibility. When I met him, he told me about his story and said, "Hey, I just want to help." When we met, I just want to help. I just want to get the word out. I just want to talk. I just want to do it. And he has done an excellent job. And I consider him a friend, and thank you so much for what you have done, Alex Bimes. Come on up, Alex. Alex, come on, my man. We got a little token of appreciation.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be a part of the class. I'm grateful to, just help spread the information that you guys are doing. I feel like I'm very lucky that I get to take in the information, but I don't necessarily have to do all the homework that you guys do. So, but I've enjoyed being a part of the class and getting to know everybody. So hopefully in the future, we can continue to connect.
Okay, and then we want to, okay, do you want to say the guy?
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you. Yeah.